Am I wrong for pretending not to recognize my husband at a restaurant? I, 30 female, just want to say that my husband, River, 26 male, is a wonderful, funny, kind person. He's also incredibly handsome. I am not. I've noticed that he's embarrassed and ashamed when he introduces me as his wife to his coworkers. This has happened a few times. He shuffles awkwardly, he doesn't look anyone in the eye, and he makes a strange smile and immediately tries to veer the conversation away to something else, only when he says I'm his wife. The events were miserable for him. I stopped going to his events and now they are a success. It used to hurt, but I just realized that's just how the industry is. And people do judge him and talk behind his back because of what I look like. People do that in general because he's more attractive than me. He told me that he's trying very hard to succeed at his new job and his new boss was an insanely judgmental person. She destroyed the career of an employee who reported the team for exclusionary behavior and fired someone who wore the same jacket as her once. For example, my coworker and I went to a fast casual restaurant for lunch yesterday. It wasn't as crowded as the other places during the lunchtime rush. My husband, his boss, and his coworker were already there unbeknownst to me. However, it turns out that River's boss and my coworker went to the same business school. They caught up and introduced us all to each other. Instead of saying that he's my husband, I shook his hand and said, "Nice to meet you." I sat next to my coworker and across from his coworker. I didn't say he was my husband, but neither did he. I felt like he was looking at me, but when I looked, he was looking away. When I got home later that night, he was crying. He said he didn't know what he did for me to ignore him, and if our marriage meant so little, why didn't I just take off my rings? I told him I said I didn't want to make him ashamed of me. He got very quiet. My mom said I was acting ridiculous, but my dad agreed with my reasoning. So, am I the asshole? I just want to say, I feel like it's 100% illegal to fire someone for wearing the same jacket as you.
Am I the asshole for telling my sister it's gold digging money she's borrowing from me? Not in the US. I, 33 female, have a sister, Sarah, 36 female. Sarah has always been good at studying and is our parents' pride and joy. She got into a very good university's engineering program on full scholarship and had a nice job offer upon graduation. We were all really proud of her. In comparison, I was a mediocre student. I got into a less prestigious university studying something Sarah said to our parents, quote, won't get me a good job. But my parents helped me pay my tuition nevertheless, though I had to work for spending money and other expenses. Through work, I met my now husband. He is from a family of generational wealth with their own business. We married when I graduated, and my sister said she was very disappointed in me for being a gold digger and that we women should not rely on a man's money to get ahead in life. Sarah left her company at 30 to start her own business with her now husband. The business was doing well until the pandemic. They struggled, but managed to keep their business together until this year.
There it is.
Sarah confessed to our parents that she needs a large amount of money to keep her business afloat. My parents suggested she borrow from me. Now, I do have the amount of money Sarah needs. My husband heads his family company and gives me spending money every month in addition to a credit card he takes care of. I don't work. My days are spent looking after our 2 sons and, for a few days a week, keeping his mom company. She's a lovely lady who's still very active and enjoys taking me places. Every time we go out, she foots the bill. So I do have a lot of money saved. Sarah and her husband approached me in private a few days ago. They asked to borrow money from me with a detailed plan on how to pay me back, though, with much lower interest than from a bank and a contract. Here's why I may be the asshole. I wrote them a check, and as I handed it to her, I looked her in the eyes and said, quote, you do realize you're borrowing my gold digging money, right?
I like it.
Sarah went red in the face before she immediately got up and walked away. Her husband looked a little awkward, but finally took the check and mumbled his thanks and left. Later, my mom called me and said I was being cruel to Sarah in her hard time, that there was no need to humiliate my sister like that.
No, it was necessary.
I simply told my mom she never said anything when Sarah called me a gold digger, so she has no say in the matter now. I still wonder if I'm the asshole.
Okay, whatever. It wasn't the nicest thing to do, but
Karma?
I like it.
I like it.
I mean, you're pointing out she owes you an apology, and you're helping her out without getting an apology, so you get to play around with her a little bit, my opinion.
You could have said no and said, I didn't think you'd want my gold digging money.
Yeah.
And then not even help her.
Yeah.
You're helping her.
Yeah.
Was it a snide comment as you handed the check? Yeah.
Yes.
But you are doing them a massive, massive favor.
Right. And what she said to you is really inappropriate.
I'm I'm really surprised that the sister didn't preemptively say, I want to apologize for what I said.
Exactly. That's my point, is that sure, it wasn't the sweetest comment, but I'm here for something like that because she's pointing out, you were really mean to me with the decision that I made, and now you're coming and asking me for help without acknowledging that you were really mean to me.
Storytime about how my best friend ditched me for his girlfriend. So a little background information, I was 14 years old and this all happened from 7th to 9th grade. So my best friend Aiden and I met whenever we were in 7th grade, and him and I hit it off almost immediately. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. At first, he was using me for my homework because I was a straight A student, so it definitely was a fake friendship at first. But during the summer before 8th grade, he broke up with his girlfriend. Fast forward, him and I start hanging out more, and we got super close. Then he got back with his girlfriend. And she was the jealous type. She did not like that him and I were friends at all. She was always running to my friend Chelsea asking if Aiden and I would flirt with each other. And of course, every time Chelsea would tell her no. Well, one day him and I are having a deep conversation about how he thought that his girlfriend was going to leave him for her guy best friend. How ironic. Well, I was like, I don't think she would ever do that, blah, blah, blah. But then I asked him, hey, if you and your girlfriend weren't together, would you date me? Like for part 2. Part 2 about how my best friend ditched me for his girlfriend. So like I said, him and I are having a deep conversation, and I all of a sudden ask him, hey, if you weren't dating your girlfriend, would you date me? And he says yes. But nothing came of it. So fast forward, the pandemic hits, and I had never saw him again because he transferred to a different high school. We still talked every day, but then he just stopped answering the phone, and I asked my best friend why he stopped talking to me, and she told him it was because his girlfriend got jealous and she asked him to stop speaking to me, even though she literally had no reason to dislike me. But since he's a good boyfriend, he told her that he would stop texting me, and he did, without giving me a reason, which sucked even more. But I guess that makes him an even better boyfriend because he didn't tell me, oh yeah, my girlfriend's jealous of you, sorry. But still, I was pissed. Anyway, so I accepted it at that point until one day I was texting with Chelsea and she sends me a picture of Aiden and his girlfriend. And he looked really happy with her, but I realized that I still had feelings for him and I have no idea what to do. Is it too late or no?
Am I wrong for not allowing our daughter's boyfriend to stay with her on the trip that we are paying for and offering an ultimatum? So next month, my husband, our 16-year-old son, and I are going to visit my daughter at her college, and it's a few states away. She is a freshman and has been with her boyfriend Steve for 3 years. Steve is a really great kid, but since money is a bit tighter in his family, he is doing 2 years at junior college while working to save up for the school my daughter attends. We had never taken Steve on a trip, but since he says money is right, we decided to bring him along. He was over the moon because he did get to visit her once back in the fall, but due to finances, he wouldn't be able to go again on his own. Now, we don't want him to pay for a single thing. His flight, his hotel room, he will be sharing with our son, and they do get along pretty well. Also, his food and drinks will be paid for by us. And really, we are glad to do it. We've also never really had a disagreement with Steve until now. When speaking to my daughter about the plans, the hotel came up. This is when I found out that my daughter's dorm roommate is out of town. Am I wrong for not allowing our daughter's boyfriend to stay with her on the trip we are paying for and offering an ultimatum? So I found out my daughter's dorm roommate is out of town, and she plans to have Steve stay with her in her dorm while we visit. I told her absolutely not. I said what they do when we aren't there is her business, but since we are going to be there and funding the whole trip, he will be staying at the hotel. Call my husband and I old school or traditionalist, but we are Christians. So the idea of them staying together on our visit makes us very uncomfortable. We think we're being very generous to take him in the first place. Well, the word got back to Steve, and he actually called me and asked why he couldn't stay with our daughter. I then explained my reasons above, and he got irate. He tried to pull the adult card. I said, Steve, here's the deal. If you want to stay with her, that's fine. You will still be welcome to tag along with our family. But there will be separate checks on every meal, and he could figure out his own way there. He said, you know I can't afford it, and I said, all we're asking is that you simply sleep at the hotel. He agreed, but my daughter's embarrassed.
Storytime about my experience with karma. So a little background information, I was 17 and in 11th grade, and I'm not gonna lie, I was a mean person. Well, not kind of, I just was mean. Like, I got joy out of annoying and making fun of people. Yeah, I know there was something probably wrong with me. Leave me alone. Anyway, so I would low-key always bully my cousin, and when she would get upset about it, I would make it seem as if it was a joke. Well, I guess the one day she had enough of me, because there was this boy that I really liked, and we didn't know each other at all. Like, we had never spoken one word to each other. And my cousin knew that I liked this boy, so she decided that she was going to email him asking him out. And no, this isn't one of those situations where she tried to steal the guy that I liked. Nope, instead she went on my email and emailed him acting like me. Sis must have been determined to get her lick back because I don't even know how she knew the password to my email. So the next day at school, him and I are in citizenship, and we're all on our laptops for this lesson. Well, all of a sudden, I hear him whisper my name to the popular girl that sits next to him, like for part 2. Part 2 about my experience with karma. So like I said, I heard him whisper my name to the popular girl that sits next to him, and she has never liked me. I never bullied her. I know I said I was a mean person, but I didn't bully her. She just hated me. So of course she thinks it would be funny to confront me in front of the whole class, and she's like, why would you email him asking him out? Not only was I embarrassed, but I was shocked because I was like, what are you talking about? Honestly, I thought that they were lying, so I was like, whatever, I'll check when I get home. Well, when I went home that day and checked my email, what do you know? There it is. An email sent from my laptop saying, hey, I really like you. Do you want to go out with me? I forget how, but I found out that it was my cousin. I didn't do anything to her because the damage was already done at that point, but I got bullied so bad for the rest of that week. And I don't even know why. Everybody was being so extra about it. It's not like this kid had a girlfriend or anything, but people were whispering rude things to me in class. And the one day that week while I was in the locker room, that popular girl starts yelling that I have blood on my pants. Like, she screamed it so loud, everybody heard it. And I tried asking my cousin if there was anything. She was ignoring me. So now on top of the whole email situation, I was dealing with that. Obviously, eventually everything died down, but I definitely learned my lesson and I'm no longer a bully.